Yeah.
Mike's playing a video game.
I'm in it right now.
This wasn't even staged.
Oh!
Mike's trying to focus me up. He's playing Splatoon 2.
I'm in it right now.
He's in it. An ass.
3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick Murphy. I'm one half of the Brothers Murph. That was Mike, and this is Metagame Minute. Metagame Minute is a weekly segment where Mike or I talk about anything we want to talk about in the board gaming world today. Today, I want to talk about board gaming universes. And what I mean by that is a lot of games that take place like in the same world, in the same universe, even if that universe is more or less the real world, but the games share a world and share an aesthetic and stuff like that. And I want to talk about whether or not we think that's cool. Not say cool, like is it okay or not? It's not that extreme, but basically whether or not you like it. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting discussion topic, considering there are a lot of games, and the more and more I thought about this topic, I kept thinking of more and more games that kind of do this. So again, this is games that there are multiple games, not expansions, but multiple like standalone games that take place in the same universe. And again, a perfect example is something like Zombicide. Like Zombicide, they have made a bunch of different those games. They're all very, very similar in the end, and they all take place more or less in the same universe. There are like 3 different, like modern, well, about to be 4 different modern Zombicides. They all take place in the same universe. Then there's the Black Plague ones and Green Horde that still take place in that universe, just kind of medieval with magic. And then there's Zombicide Invader and all this kind of different stuff. But those all kind of take place in the same universe, despite the fact there's multiple separate games that are completely playable on their own. Something like Manhattan Project and Manhattan Project Energy Empire are 2 games that take place in the real world. Like the Manhattan Project was a real thing that exists, and it's not like we're on Neptune. It's like, no, you just get to be a nation. Like you start off as India, you start off as Iraq. Like everyone just becomes a nation, but the aesthetic of the 2 games, and actually there's 3 games now, I believe so, and the aesthetic is carried throughout those games. So despite the fact that the universe is our universe, our normal one, it's one kind of continuous storyline. It's just everything looks the same amongst the 3 games, and that's very like, oh, this is similar. Okay, I like that. And so, and there's even more. There's like Last Will and the Prodigal's Club are 2 games that we really like that are set in the same universe. And the ones that have really taken over the last couple of years are the Shem Phillips Product and Renegades, and that is all of the occupation in the direction province kind of thing. Essentially, Raiders of the North Sea, Architects of the West Kingdom, Shipwrights of the North Sea, there's another one in the North Sea, Architects of the West Kingdom, and now Paladins of the West Kingdom, and then Viscounts of the West Kingdom, I think is next. Is it Viscounts? Is that how you pronounce Viscounts? I don't know. Whatever. There's a 3rd one in that one, and heck, there may even be another one after that. But nonetheless, all of those games, right now there's 5 of them, and there's about to be a 6th one, all take place in the same world. They all take place in the same universe, and that universe all has the same aesthetic. All the art is done by Mikhailo Dmitrievsky, who's one of my favorite artists, a very prolific board game artist, and everything looks similar. Everything looks like it's in the same world. You're like, yes, this art carries through. All of the iconography in all the different games carries through. There's like provisions in this game, and then there's provisions in Raiders of the North Sea, which is the first one, and there's provisions in Paladins of the West Kingdom, which is the latest one, and the provisions are exactly the same. So you're like, oh yeah, I get what this is. Oh, that's provision. Okay, cool. And that's really cool, or at least I think it's really cool. But what do you think? Do you like games that take place all in the same universe? Would you like to see more games where it's just original storylines, it's just original settings, original stuff? Or would you like to see more games that kind of take place in similar universes where it's like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of different games, they play totally differently, they aren't alike in any way mechanically, but aesthetically or just thematically, they're all in the same universe. Which one do you like more? And I'm sure the answer is, well, I would like both, because I think where kind of a lot of us are is like, I don't mind it, but I also like games that are wholly new. But I actually really, really like the concept of presenting multiple titles that are in the same world. I think it's very fun. I think it's very interesting. I think it's very satisfying. I think it's one of the reasons why we love sequels and prequels and all these different things in like movies and books, because I think people as a whole fall in love with worlds. I want more stories in this universe, but I want different characters. Like, I had no interest in Solo, like the Han Solo origin story. I don't care because I love the Star Wars universe. I love that whole universe, and I just want original stories in that universe. And I think one thing I really dislike is this kind of thing where we find a universe and then we just have origin stories for people that we already know. And I'm like, no. We love the universe. We love the world. The world is familiar enough to keep people watching. You don't need to rehash the same characters over and over and over again. And that carries over to games. I like having more games in the same universe because the universe is familiar and comforting. I'm like, oh, I know this is the same aesthetics, the same art. That's cool, that's familiar. But now what am I doing? Oh, now we're drafting instead of, okay, I see, now we're doing. And I like that. I think the familiarity of the similar world is very comforting and very nice and helps get you into a game. But then you also need a new game. I think having the same game in the same universe again and again and again is, my opinion, what like Zombicide had an issue with. I kind of fell out of love with Zombicide, or rather I fell out of love with the new Zombicides, because ultimately the game from the first one to the last one are pretty darn similar. There's not that much difference. And I realized kind of after we'd bought like our third Zombicide, I'm like, oh, this is just the same game again. It's just slightly different. And so this isn't different enough to keep me coming back to this world. But who cares what I think? What do you think? Do you like this concept in board games or in pop culture in general? What is a universe in board games that you would like to see more games in? What's kind of a theme where you're like, oh, this was kind of a cool idea. I would love to see more games in this world. What's something that you would like? Put it down in the comments below, a game that you would really like to see in that kind of world. And while you're down there, give this video a thumbs up, hit that share and subscribe button. And until next time, whether you love all games and all universes, or you just want to stick just the Raccoon Tycoon universe, nothing else but this universe here, fancy fat cats and cool looking raccoons and dogs forever. I don't know. Remember, the more meta, the more meta.